You know what?
Oh.
We gotta finish this job. Hopefully. Inshallah.
First one.
Yeah. That one, yeah, it's ready. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. The outside room? The top one?
You say power on.
It's on?
The red light on.
For your time. طيب. We stopped last week in the mawqif al-imam wal-ma'mun, where everybody stands in the salah, who stands where and who should be standing where and where you can and can't stand. Then he first started off saying that يَقِفُ الْإِثْنَانِ فَأَكْثَرْ خَلْفَ الْإِمَامِ نَدْبًا. The recommendation is to stand. It's recommended for, if it's two or more people, that they stand behind the imam. It's recommended that if it's two or more, that they stand behind the imam. Recommended, meaning if two people lined up next to the imam, the salat is valid, but that's not the best way to pray. Two people lined up. Let's just say two brothers lined up, right?
1, 2.
1, 2. So it's three people in the line, right? One brother's leading the salat, and then there's two brothers next to him, to the right, right? The salat is valid, even though that's not the preferred way to pray when there's that many people, that they should pray behind the imam. And the issue came up because it was I think it was a fatwa going around about if a woman prays next to the man, the most important thing is that whoever's praying with the imam is different. Number one, is different. If you could say levels. The best is that, like he just said, is that when there's more than two people or more, there's somebody, they pray behind the imam. Like, is it possible they could pray next to the imam? They could pray next to the imam. Is that the preferred, the best way? No, the best way is that they pray behind the imam. The way the Prophet ﷺ prayed, and the people pray behind him. The most important thing is that the person following the imam, whether it's one brother, two brother, a woman, the most important thing is that they're not praying in front of the imam. It's possible that it's a man and a woman in the house, right? And they praying in a room. The room is tight, right? They get ready to pray together, right? They get ready to pray dhuhr. They're going to pray whatever they praying in the house. And let's just say they're praying in the living room. It's a table there, it's a chair there, and it's a little small space. The most important thing is that she prays where?
To the right.
Mm-hmm. Huh? The most important.
He pray behind.
The most important prayer
That she's not praying in front.
That she's not praying in front of him. That's the most important thing. Based on, right, the spacing in the room, the best place for her to pray, in the best case situation, she should be praying where? Behind him. Best case situation. Like, it's kind of tight. It ain't that much room. The room is awkward. It's a chair, it's a table, coffee table. It's stuff in there. So they got to pray. The most important thing is that she's not praying in front of him. And that's why sometimes it's possible that the woman prays very close to her husband, right? But she's not in front of him. That's not the preferred way. But that came up last week and we didn't really get no detail on it. Most important thing that whoever's following the imam doesn't pray in front of the imam. Even if it's a little bit of people, it's his wife, based on the situation or based on our situation. She might walk up and pray not right next to him because that's not the preferred way. She should be praying behind him. But what if a woman prayed beside her husband? Would the salat be valid? The salat would be okay as long as she didn't pray in front of him. As long as she doesn't pray in front of him. And Allah knows best. Tayyib. He starts, and we stopped at, and this is always an issue when we come late to the salat. When we get to the salat late, وَمَنْ وَجَدَ فُرْجَةً دَخَلَهَا. If we come late to the salat and it's a gap in the row. This is a problem. I've been hearing a lot of times the sisters be having the problems. The brothers do too. You get to the salat late, and it's a gap in the row that you're supposed to fill the gap. And if the gap is too small, you can't fit in the gap, you're going to bother people. That's just one thing. But if there's a gap there that can be filled, you should fill the gap. The gap should be filled. وَإِلَّا عَنْ يَمِينِ إِمَامِهِ. What happens if the person comes, like it used to be for Jummah, right? Brother come through the door for Jummah, and there's nowhere to pray. There's nowhere else to go. What should the brother do?
On the side of the imam.
Pray on the side of the imam, on the right side of the imam, on the right side of the imam. Sometimes, brother, they do all kinds of stuff. People don't know they do anything, right? So he says, so if there's no gap in the row to fill, then he says to pray on the right side of the imam. فَإِن لَمْ يُمْكِنْهُ نَبَّهَ مَنْ يَقُومُ مَعَهُ. If the brother, if you're not able to pray on the right side of the imam, like here, right? You might not be praying on the right side or the left side. There's no space to fill in, right? He says what the person should do is nabbaha, that they should alert somebody, get somebody's attention, so that somebody that's in the row before them can pray. They can pray with them in the row behind them, because they shouldn't be praying, as he already covered. You shouldn't be praying in the row by yourself. He's going to get to that. But so he says, nabbaha man yaqumu ma'ahu. Get the attention of the person who's praying in front of you so that they can pray in the rank with them. Now, how do you get the attention of the person praying in front of you? Because this happens all the time, right? We come to the salat late. There's nowhere to pray, or a lot of times it's two brothers praying, right? The third brother comes. He wants to join the salat with the two brothers, right? So what's supposed to happen? Two of them supposed to pray behind, and one brother gonna be in the front. That's the imam. Right. Like the brother praying, right? See.
We talked about this before. You should put your hand on his shoulder. I think you said that should be done even.
I think there's two ways to do it.
Right.
If you have wrong, you let the imam know to step up, or
how you let the imam know to step
by
up?
touching him, letting him know to step up, or you could touch the person beside him, that's on the right side, and let him know to come back.
Play it. I'm listening.
Or the check out of Quran by you saying Allahu Akbar, that let them know that somebody else, and then the imam will just step up and the brother step back.
Play it. Okay. Part of the problem is sometimes when brothers are praying, people praying, they act like nothing else in the world is happening. Just not being realistic. You hear somebody came in, you know somebody just came, you know somebody trying to join the salat, you know somebody trying to get your attention. It's okay. Movement in the salat is okay to a certain extent. Right? Like sometimes people's phones is ringing in the salat, they just let the phone ring. Not because they couldn't get to it like that. I ain't talking about that. No, not that. Understand? Some people think you can't move at all. So they'll just let the phone ring and disturb everybody in the salat until the end of the salat because they think you can't move. Right? Some movement is allowed to a certain extent. Like in this case, they say, let's start off with what you shouldn't do first. They say what you shouldn't do is pull somebody. Right? It says dislike to pull a person out of their position as a form of alerting them that you're there. It says what you should do, it says, and all of this would take a person understanding this. This is assuming the person understands what's going on. You let them know that you're there. And one thing they say is by clearing your throat. You walk up on them, right? But that means the person praying with the brother will have to know, or the sister will have to know, you know what I'm saying, somebody's there trying to join the salat, right? It said, or ishara, by giving them some signal, like a movement with your hand, right? Which means that, mathalan, a person's praying, I'm not praying, right? It's the two things. A person's praying, I'm not praying. The reality is we have peripheral vision. We're not like statues once we start praying. You see shadows and people walking by. You might walk by and say, and give them a sign to move back, or whatever the case may be. They say even further than that, or kalam, to say something. Is it permissible to speak to people who are praying and you're not praying?
Yes, because if you come in sometimes when people is
Salam.
praying, you can get a salam and put your hand up to return.
طيب.
Or you can correct the imam if you made a mistake.
Or even if you're not praying, you hear the imam, you sitting on the side minding your business, you hear the imam make a mistake in the salat reading. God, the person that's not even praying can correct the imam. So it's permissible to talk to people while they're praying, not that you're trying to talk to them to disturb them for a reason. It's a reason for talking to them. So in this case, you might say to the brother or the sister who's, like, people, they act like they don't even feel you there. You know it's somebody there. You know somebody standing there, and they just keep going. So you might have to say to the brother, slide back a little bit so I can join the salat. You're not in the salat saying it. He's in the salat saying it. Because we praying doesn't mean we don't hear reality going on around us. You understand? Therefore, they say kalam, to speak to a person, letting them know just exactly that. Move back a little bit so I can get in the salat, join the salat with you. طيب. He says after that, when صلى ركعة فذًا لم تصح. This is an issue that the scholars discuss. Whoever prays, say we got 3 rows. All 3 rows are full. There's nowhere else to fill up the row, right? They say that whoever prays in the row behind the jama'ah alone, that the salat is not valid. You can't pray like that. Meaning, there's 3 rows. 1, 2, 3. The rows are full. You start a 4th row and you're the only one there, right? You join the salat, Allahu Akbar. It says, "Man salla rak'ah fadhan lam tasih." Whoever prays an entire rak'ah like that, and they were the only one in the row, that doesn't count. Clear? طيب. It says, "وإن ركع فذًا ثم دخل الصف ووقف معه آخر قبل السجود إمامه صحت." But if that was the case and they joined the salat, they were alone. But during that rak'ah, somebody else came and joined the row with them, right? And they specify before the imam makes sajda, before the imam makes the sajda, before the imam goes to the ground, putting his face on the ground, then in that case, it is valid as long as it is before the imam reaches sajda. Clear? 2 different situations. One, that a person prayed the entire rak'ah alone. Nobody was in the saf with him. Nobody was in the row with him, right? And they get into details about when it is allowed. They say except if the person has an excuse. If a person has an excuse to pray in the rank alone. Like what? It would be an excuse for a person to pray in the rank alone.
Trying to catch the rak'ah and there's nobody else.
Trying to catch the rak'ah, like we said. Trying to catch the rak'ah. So a person trying to catch the rak'ah, right? And they pray in the saf alone, and that's an excuse. An excuse. Everybody clear? Right? طيب. The next section, في الاقتداء. It says, رحمه الله, يصح الاقتداء مأموم بإمام في مسجد مطلقة إن سمع التكبير. It's possible sometimes depending on how the masjid is built, right? It's possible, even for the men, a lot of times for the women, it's possible you praying behind the imam and you can't see him, right? Or it's possible you're in a part of the building where you're praying jama'ah and you're praying behind the imam and you can't see him because sometimes it's floors. You on the 3rd floor, you on the 2nd floor, you're in the basement, right? The imam's on the 1st floor, so you don't see him. So he says, you can follow that imam as long as you're in the same masjid, as long as you're able to hear the takbir. As long as you can hear the imam, you can follow the imam. Tayyib, number 1. He says also outside of that masjid, you can follow the imam because it's possible sometimes the masjid fills up, so it's people praying outside of the masjid, right? They pray on the street. It says also outside of the masjid, as long as in ra'a al-imam aw man wara'ahu, as long as you can see the imam or you can see the people following the imam. You can see the sufuf, you can see the ranks, right? Everybody with me? It's possible you can see the ranks and you can't hear the imam. You with me? It's possible you can see the Muslims praying, y'all all praying together, but you can't hear the imam. In that case, how are you praying? You following the ranks. And that's why I say, even if you're outside of the masjid, right? You might not be able to hear the imam, but you see the imam movements. You see the movements. or you might not see the imam, but you see the ranks following the imam, the movements, then that salat is also valid, no problem. طيب. He says, وَيُقْرَهُ الْعُلُوُ إِمَامْ عَنْهُ ذِرَاعٍ فَأَكْثَرُ. We don't see this often, but in some places, the way the masajid are built, the imam might pray on a platform, a little bit more. Let's say on that first step. Let's just say for like a better height, for example, the imam, everybody's praying regular on the floor. The imam prays up on level up here on the minbar at that height, right? He says this like for the imam to pray ذِرَاعًا فَأَكْثَرُ, a light of a handspan, a handspan above the rest of the people, right? And that's based on the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It says also it is disliked for the imam salatu fi taq, the mihrab. You go into a masjid, and even though it's not like, sometimes it's built in the wall, the little curve, right? Sometimes it's built in the wall. Yeah, like watch the theater, they got a curve, right? It says dislike for the imam to pray inside of the curve. What happens when he prays inside of the curve? What's the problem? If he prays inside of the thought, the mihrab, he prays inside of it.
Hard to make sujood.
For the imam, yeah. For the imam, it's hard to make sujood, but that's not. That's closer. He does what though? The people can't see him, right? Which could cause a problem for the other people. Remember, there's other people who might not be able to hear the imam, but they can see the imam. If the imam puts himself in that mihrab, in that little half circle, now the problem is they can't even see him. The people who couldn't hear him, now they can't hear him or see him possibly, right? Can he pray in there? He shouldn't pray in there. That's why I say yuqra. Yuqra. Alhamdulillah. Yuqra is disliked to do it, or is hated to do it. But if it's disliked to do it, Islamically, that equals what? If it's disliked, then it hasn't reached the level of being haram, but we definitely shouldn't be doing it, right? We definitely shouldn't be doing it. But if the imam prayed inside of there, it wouldn't mean the salat is invalid or is haram. He's gaining a sin by doing that. Tayyib. The third one, these are the things that are disliked. Number 3. He says, وَتَطَوُّرُهُ مَوْضِعٍ مَكْتُوبَةٍ بَعْدَهَا. Also dislike for the imam to lead the salat. He leads the obligatory prayer, right? And then he stands up in the same place that he played the obligatory prayer. And then he does what? He makes his sunnah after the prayer in the same exact spot. What's the problem with that? The imam leaves the salat right here, right? For example, leaves the salat right here. And then after the salat, he stands up and starts praying sunnah in the same spot. Yeah, some people come in, they think he's still praying the obligatory salat, right? It might confuse some people. Tayyib. That was number 3. Number 4, all of these things are what? What's the hukum on these things, y'all? What's the Islamic ruling on these things? Disliked. Not haram, but we definitely shouldn't be doing it. Right? We definitely shouldn't be doing these things. طيب, number 4, إطالة القعود مستقبل القبلة بعدها إلا لحاجة. 2, for the imam, whoever leads the salat, also dislike for the imam who leads the salat. After the salat, after the taslim, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. It's dislike for the imam to sit there too long, facing the qibla with his back to the people. Everybody clear? Does anybody know why? Huh? That the imam, he always turns around after a couple seconds, right?
Oh, let the people know that he's finished the prayer.
MashaAllah.
Because they might, if you're sitting with your back one, they might still think you might be doing it to shower or whatever. For people that just might be coming in late.
Okay.
But
Maybe.
that's the right thing.
Maybe. That's something. Maybe. So, hey, what else? What else? There's a hadith connected to this. There's a hadith specifically that says that the imam should not sit too long, except for the length that it takes him to make the dua after the salat. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam. Also, there's another hadith that says that the people are under the authority of the imam as long as.
Did you tell us why?
Say it again.
Why did the imam turn around?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Did you want to tell us why the imam turn around?
Why he does or
Why
doesn't?
he turns around after he prays?
Oh, yeah. There are a couple of hadith. One says that the people that are praying behind the imam are under his authority, that they shouldn't get up and leave until he turns around. That's one. And another hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said that the imam shouldn't sit too long except for the amount of time that it takes for him to make the dua. And then he should turn around. The longer the imam sits there with his back to the people, the longer the people generally should wait until he turns around. Meaning the people should wait till the imam turns around to get up and leave. Of course, if somebody got an emergency, then they gotta leave. But generally, they should wait until the imam turns around and faces the jama'ah before they get up and leave. Clear? There's that hadith. This hadith is in Sahih Muslim. عائشة رضي الله عنها كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا سلم لم يقعد إلا مقدار ما يقول. If the Prophet ﷺ prayed and he made the taslim, he finished the salat, so he wouldn't sit except for amount of time that it took him to say Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. That's how long he would sit there. So they say that you shouldn't sit there longer than that, because the longer you sit there, the longer the people are basically stuck. Not that they can't leave, but it's better that they wait until the imam turns around. طيب. It says the next thing. ويقرأ وقوف المأمومين بين السوارد تقطع صفوف بلا حاجة. It's disliked as long as there's no need to do this. We don't have a problem here because there's no pillars in the middle of the prayer area. But you go into some masajid and there are pillars to the building inside of where we pray at. And sometimes you'll see people when they line up, when the brothers line up or the sisters line up, they'll skip the line that has the pillars, right? The rank that has two pillars in the middle of it, they'll skip that. Why? Because it's disliked to break the saf. The pillar breaks the saf of the row of the people. And it's disliked to break the row, except if there's a necessity to break the row, right? So a lot of times they'll fill up the entire masjid first, and that row will be the last row to be filled up. Right? There's no more room in the masjid, so now we're going to fill up that row and we'll break the row out of necessity, right? And if it's done out of necessity, then it doesn't fall under the ruling of being disliked, as long as it's done out of a need. Clear? Even though we don't have that problem here, you go somewhere else and you might see people, you say, why they skip so many rows like that? Well, they skip that many rows, not because they shout out. They don't bid'ah. That's the first thing we say. Oh, shout out, man. They only pray. Oh, they don't line up right? But they already know you shouldn't break the saf, and that breaks the saf. That breaks the row. So it's disliked to break the row if there's no need to break the row. We don't have to break the row because we got plenty of space after those pillars to make more rows, right? So the last row we're going to make are the rows that have the pillars in it, and therefore they'll skip that row. Clear? طيب. طيب فصل في الأعذار المبيحة لترك الجمعة والجماعة. The section of the permissible or the excuses, the valid excuses that a person has to either miss Jum'ah or miss Salat al-Jama'ah, praying in congregation. You need a reason. You need a valid reason not to pray in the Jama'ah. You need a valid reason to miss Salat al-Jum'ah. طيب. It says, يُعْذَرْ بِتَرْكِ الْجُمْعَةِ وَالْجَمَاعَةِ مَرِيض. The sick person. The person is sick. They're not able to make it out to pray in Jama'ah, to the masjid. They're not able to make it out to Jum'ah. That's the excuse, is a valid excuse Islamically to stay home. Some people, sometimes they're sick and they gotta pray. They gotta go. You sick, and then you're gonna go and make other people sick. Common sense is like works for us in our deen, alhamdulillah. The deen, the entire religion agrees with the, as they say, aql salim. The general sound intellect, the entire religion agrees with it. As long as if a person's not biased and they don't have opinions and they're not just then anything in Islam is going to agree with the aqd as-salim, the general, what did I say? Sound intellect. Fast enough. I thought that was the thing. It was almost time to break. So we probably not going to do this whole section because it's a little too long. Also, a person who has a valid excuse for missing a jama'ah, as they say, mudafi'un ahd al-akhbathain, the person who has to use the bathroom, whether it's the number one or the number two, right? What's the ruling on praying the salat when you have to use the bathroom? You know you got to go to the bathroom, you come and line up, you don't really want to make wudu, so just jump in. You know you got to go to the bathroom, huh? It's disliked, not haram. Disliked, it's disliked. You shouldn't pray like that. When you do pray like that and you know you got to go to the bathroom, what does it do to your salat?
It takes away from you.
How? You use your khushu'. You're not focused now. You hoping the imam don't read nothing long, right? Hope the brother don't read nothing long, man, because I got to go to the bathroom. And if he starts to read long now, it's a hope that he finishes quick. Not based on everybody else, khushu' or praying, right? Based on you, got to go to the bathroom. That's why it's better. And if a person was in the bathroom and they missed the entire jama'ah while they were in the bathroom, they have a valid excuse. It's not a sin. If a person went to use the bathroom because they didn't want to stand in the salat, knowing that they had to use the bathroom, is dislike to do that so that they don't lose their khushu'. So they say, let me use the bathroom before I go. Half of the salat, they waiting in line. Then they get in the bathroom. By the time they get out and make wudu, the salat finished. It's not a sin. It's nothing sinful. They did the right thing. And Allah Ta'ala, we'll stop there, inshallah. We'll have to finish this section because it's like 14 reasons. We only did 2. But the third one is the person, the muhtajun li ta'am bi hadratihi, the person who is in need of the food and the food is ready. When the food is ready and the person needs to eat, they feel like they need to eat, right? Then the person begins to eat and maybe possibly they miss to either what? This whole section is dealing with missing what? Jama'ah and Salatul Jum'ah. All of these go for Salatul Jum'ah and Salatul Jama'ah. So if there's no questions, we'll stop there. We can get ready to public.
In praying, you share.
Mhm.
It's any prayer, right? You miss the 2 out loud. You coming on the 2 silent, right? So when you come back up to do your 2, do you say the 2 that you missed out loud, or do you just say them silent?
Just sit down until it
You
passes.
want to wait for that?
Inshallah.
Oh, sure, okay.
It's a discussion, though.
No.
It's a discussion. Inshallah.
Next time,
Tomorrow. Oh, we're going to do class on the Eid might be Wednesday, so we got to finish this on Tuesday. Inshallah, Tuesday. So Allah was some about being a may I help you?